And right now, we have Mr. Andrew Johnson from Canada. Hello. Hello,
Hello.
Mr. Johnson. Hi there. Hi there. Mr. Johnson has been a mental health professional since 1997. He's currently the lead of the Center for Addiction and Mental Health Patient and Family Education. Mr. Johnson collaborates with people in recovery, researchers and other professionals and stakeholders to create a recovery-oriented education, mental health-related information, and other related products. He is constantly striving to scale up collaborative learning college, a strength-based recovery-oriented program in Canada. Mr. Johnson is also the co-chairman of the International Recovery College Network. Mr. Johnson is here to talk about co-creating the collaborative learning college. On behalf, okay, so here's the stage. Hello.
Well, thanks very much for having me. It is such an honor to be invited to speak to you today. And though I have to say that it's a bit of a hard act to follow to follow Dr. Mike Slade. We know him well through the Recovery College Network, and we really admire his research and his ability to help us conceptualize the kind of work that we do and to think about it with rigor and to develop evidence. And evidence will definitely be part of what I have to say to you today. Can we go to the next slide, please? I'm going to start today with a land acknowledgement. A land acknowledgement is very important in the Canadian setting. And Mike, Dr. Slade certainly touched on the kind of specific cultural implications of where the settings that we set out our recovery colleges in, or do any of our work for that matter. And in Canada, we have been grappling, much like in Australia, and New Zealand, with a legacy of being colonizers. And we have, in our project of what we call reconciliation with our First Nations, Inuit and Métis people, that is the first peoples of the land, we often begin, and certainly within the Collaborative Learning College, we always begin with a land acknowledgement. And our land acknowledgement reads the following. We would like to acknowledge that the Collaborative Learning College is situated on the council grounds of the Mississauga of the New Credit and covered by the Toronto Purchase Treaty number 13 of 1805 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. These are lands that have been occupied by First Nations for millennia, lands rich in civilizations with knowledge of medicines, architecture, technology, and extensive trade routes through the Americas. We recognize Indigenous peoples as the original caretakers of the land we are grateful to call this land our home. We are also acutely aware of the devastating impact that the education system has had and continues to have on Indigenous communities, including impacts on mental health and substance use. As an educational program, we recognize our responsibility to actively challenge the legacy of coloniality within the educational context. This land acknowledgement is important in and of itself. And it's also important because what I'm here to talk to you today about is co-creation and the way that we attempt to embody co-creation in everything that we do. And one of the important things about co-creation is its commitment to inclusion, to understanding where the other is coming from, to listen with respect and humility, to challenge where required, to accept ideas as they come, and to very much be present to the person that's in front of you or the people who are in front of you, who you are working with. So can we go to the next slide? So here's the team that I get to work with. We have a number of coordinators, a woman named Jordana Rovette, a fellow by the name of Sam Gruzecki. We have a research coordinator called Holly Harris. We have an evaluator called Cale Donner. These are all extraordinary people, all people who identify as having lived and living experience. And they are the people who have been helping us to lead the work of co-creation and to bring about our idea, our vision for the creation of a really compelling recovery college, one that really meets the needs of the people that identify as being in recovery in our area. So today, we can go to the next slide. Today, we're going to talk about how we began. And I've called this co-creation in what we call the big tent approach. That is a willingness or a hope that we involve a lot of people in what we have to do or what we have to say. Where we are now, that is our present time, in which I'm calling deepening our commitment to co-creation, because I can say quite honestly, we've learned a lot about what co-creation is and what it is not. And then I've got a section called Where Are We Going? Aiming for sustainability through examining recovery and co-creation. And then we'll have hopefully a few minutes for questions and reflections. So if we can go to the next slide, actually two, you can move ahead. When I'm describing our recovery college, our collaborative learning college, we describe it as a college which is a low barrier, strengths-based, recovery-oriented program where all the courses that we present are either created or co-created, facilitated or co-facilitated by people with lived experience. The recovery college that we have set up and which we began offering courses in December 2019 is part of the kind of internationally recognized and developing recovery college approach that Dr. Slade did a great job of describing and certainly helping us to understand, to deepen our understanding of what it is that we're trying to do. Because as an innovation, sometimes you don't necessarily have all the answers. You have great ideas, you're willing to experiment, you are, building the proverbial plane as you fly it. And that's certainly been the experience that we have had. We can move ahead. That agenda slide is yeah, we can keep going. Yeah, keep going one more. So our values. All our programs are designed and co-led by people with lived and living experience, mental health, substance use, and or addiction challenges. Oftentimes, as we all know in this room, these issues come together. They're rarely apart. Sometimes they are apart. All our courses are offered free of charge. That is, we want to create a program that is as accessible to our student body as possible. And we want to offer it up to as many adults as we can. So we're willing to take anyone who is over 16, and in our case, who identifies as having lived and living experience or living experience with mental health, substance use, or addiction challenges. So what do we mean by co-production? At the Collaborative Learning College, we're really attempting to move beyond tokenistic or ad hoc forms of engagement. Tokenistic is, of course, the idea that you simply involve people with lived experience to say that you've involved them with lived experience. That is, you're not listening, you're not sharing power, you are not asking questions, being willing to have questions, hard questions asked of you. That's not what we're attempting to do. We're attempting to move beyond those kind of approaches. And we don't want it to be ad hoc. We don't want to be running a school and then occasionally reach out to people for advice and perspective. We want them to be part of the overall program. You can move to the next slide as well. Sorry, this slide moving bit is a bit awkward, so please bear with me. So we want to do this by meaningfully engaging people. We want to do it through all aspects of our programming, from delivering the courses to thinking about what courses we should be offering, to thinking about what is the name of the recovery college that we've got going. How do we evaluate it? How can we understand more about, sorry, I've just managed to knock over a lamp from my desk here. How can we understand better what it is that we're doing through formal research, through focus groups, through just asking really meaningful questions? And in doing so, we're trying to create transformation. And we're trying to do that by sharing power. We all know that in traditional mental health settings, we are in an expert culture that is very much top down. It is not traditionally interested in relinquishing power to people, especially people who identify as having, mental health, substance use, addiction challenges. But in this program, we attempt to share power by creating as many opportunities as possible to get people involved, from being leaders in the program, to offering courses, to being students, to being parts of committee work, and generally giving their perspectives. And this lines up with our overall values. So this is, I'm trying to create a vision here of the fact that co-creation is not just something that we do or do occasionally. It's really deeply threaded throughout every aspect of our program. So we offer low barrier programs that meet people where they are at. We don't know where people are at unless we're talking to them, that we're listening to them, that we're responding to them. We aim to create personal growth, to foster, maybe is a better way, personal growth for those students that we're attempting to serve through encouraging them to self-identify their own goals and then work with us to create a situation where they can attain those goals. This, of course, is founded in self-determination. Self-determination for people who have, for years, in many cases, been in the role of patient or in the role of receiving services, to move to a spot where they are now self-determining is a transformative piece. And in doing so, this fosters, it demonstrates maybe a sense of respect. It acknowledges the dignity that humanity has inherently. And it enables inclusion. because at least in our context, many of the people who we're serving are some of the most marginalized, the most excluded people in our society. They're stigmatized. And as we all know, stigma is a form of discrimination. And what we want to do is say, no, you're invited into our spaces. You are a part of our community and therefore are important. And you have expertise for virtue of the fact of your experience. And thus, you are worthy of us collaborating with you. That is, we want to meaningfully engage with you as students, as leaders, as facilitators, as people who can give us valuable input so that we can really create, excuse me, a first-rate program. Can we go ahead to the outcomes slide, which is number 10? So what do we hope to do by any of these things? We want to, of course, first and foremost, foster a sense of hope for the future, a sense of control, confidence, agency in all of our students. We, in doing so from a systemic level, we want to create a situation where people are using services in the most efficient way. I used to think that the Recovery College was going to help people use services less. But what we found is that while that is certainly the case for some people, it's also allowed people to understand when they need to use services, what services they require, what they should expect from them, and therefore it becomes more efficient. They feel more empowered as they walk into these services. They know that they may need help, but when they do, they can say, now is the time that I need to reach out because I'm not doing as well as I want to be. Of course, running a school, one of the other things that we want to do is help people develop knowledge, develop skills, work on their employability, work on their sense of curiosity to open themselves up to a larger world. As Mike said in the last presentation, co-creation and learning, skills development. If you don't have these two things, you don't really have a recovery college. So obviously this is definitely part of what we want to be imparting to our folks. But in doing so, we're going to decrease stigma. We're challenging systemic stigma all the time by inviting people to take control of a program that sits within a hospital, the Center for Addiction and Mental Health, which, by the way, is the largest specialty mental health hospital in Canada. We're saying to them, you have the expertise to help guide this program, to help give it shape. This challenges stigma between people, self-stigma or internalized stigma, and systemic stigma that people face all the time. And when we're creating this program, what we did is, and we can go to the slide that says the big tent approach. It's the 11th slide. Where I've just laid out the next one there, please. The fact that transformational leadership, and transformational leadership, I don't know, it's a fancy word, but really it's the kind of leadership that attends to creating positive social change, inspiring people to use their own personal power to make a difference to themselves, to their communities. If we're going to do that, we need people to support us. It's not good enough to have a really great idea. We need to work with others. Note, co-creation. We're always working with collaborating with, reaching out to others, bringing people along, not telling people what to do, but bringing people along. We've got a vision, but we're always testing that vision. And what we did at CAMH, again, very large, and frankly, a very, like most hospitals, very conservative, risk-averse environment. As much as we want to embrace innovation, we want to embrace change, there's still something about that expert culture that is hard to challenge. So what we did is we created a very large stakeholder group within our hospital. And we wanted people, not just clinicians, not just people who are doing advocacy work, but we wanted people who are doing human resources, the people who hire and fire people, finance. We wanted the people who are writing the checks and supporting, all the kind of boring money stuff. We wanted the legal people there. We wanted our foundation people there. We wanted as many people there to make sure that they got excited about our idea, that they understood it, that they could help us shape it, that they could identify enablers and barriers to our work to allow us to move through what we needed to do. We also, and I have to say, I naively thought that group was going to be our leadership group. But what really happened is we also created a working group, all of people with lived and living experience. And that became our leadership group. That became the group that really shaped our overall vision. Those other folks, the stakeholders, they were really important. But what they did is gave us more strategic advice, but they weren't not as invested as collaborators in our overall program. They cheered us on. Some of them became champions, but that was not where that work really happened. And then we also intentionally created multiple opportunities, focus groups, surveys, key informant interviews with people who are in the community, people who identify as having lived and living experience, and ask them, what do you need? What do you want from an educational institution? Do you even want this? And if you do, what should it look like? What should it feel like? And one of the things that came back was, we want to be part of the community. And one of the ways that we can do that is by you helping us figure out how to get work. And so in December 2019, the first thing that we did was we created an employment readiness course. And we offered that to 9 people. Can we go ahead now? So where are we now? We are deepening our commitment to co-creation. Now we have courses running every day. They sit in many different areas of the school. They touch on life skills, such as, how to cook, wellness, things like meditation and the like. Sorry, I'm just getting my notes up here. It's hard to read there. Creating boundaries, professional skills such as leadership, entrepreneurship, and then recreation. A lot of our folks who've been patients for a long time have forgot how to recreate, how to be with others. And we've invited them to work on those skills, creative writing, how to enjoy music, how to make music, how to think about music, how to get physically active. We've been running things like how to do safe cycling and running things like, cycling workshops and the like. We also, and you can move ahead now, we run a leadership program. This is an example of something that we do with folks from Yale University. It's a leadership program called Let's Lead. This is very much as it's from a very fancy university It's about leadership. This is still also within the realm of co-creation, and it's led by people with lived and living experience. The professor who helps us facilitate that at CAMH, Dr. Sherelle Bellamy, would be one of the first people to say that she has lived experience and expertise through that experience, along with having a PhD, along with being a full professor at Yale University. She is very much somebody who is invested in bringing people along and creating space for people within her communities. Go ahead. And one of the things that we also do is work with people who are directly involved in creating opportunities for people with lived and living experience. These are social enterprises, schools, community-based organizations, local hospitals, large organizations who we, like such as the University of Toronto, who we regularly partner with. And in doing so, we're spreading this idea of the fact that co-creation can affect these large institutions, and that people whose voices have been excluded and marginalized should be part of those conversations. And likewise, if you move ahead, we get involved in international partnerships and the like. That is, we're not just satisfied with being a small kind of regional organization. We want to have a global effect in the same way that Dr. Slade is attempting to have a global effect. We want to learn from, and we want to help others do this work. So in doing that, though, what we've done is we've moved from that one employment readiness course to running 60 courses a year, over 1,000 students. We listened to our students. One of the first things they said was, "Your name is terrible. We love the idea of a recovery college, but calling it the CAMH Recovery College is a terrible name. And we're going to call it the Collaborative Learning College because we see ourselves in this. We love the idea of education, but we want to work with you." And the idea of CAMH, or Center for Addiction and Mental Health, was very much that expert model that's being driven through. We expanded our working group and evolved it into multiple subcommittees that are focused on courses and programming, on evaluation, that is working with our students to create evaluation measures that are important to them. Not just coming through with professional evaluators, but hearing the students, having them think about the kinds of tools that we might use to measure our success. And now we're moving towards research and creating a research subcommittee. We run monthly town halls, listening sessions, so that we can hear from people. And our latest thing is to create a community advisory to be as responsive to the people we're trying to serve as possible. And in each one of these instances, the invitation to come and collaborate with us is made. And where are we going now? We think that sustainability is attainable through co-creation. We insist that co-creation is at the core of all of our work, and our success is founded in it. So now we need to really think hard about what co-creation is and is not. That is, we need to enact an evaluation and a research program that will start to think through some of the really vexing ideas of what is recovery? How is recovery supported or not supported through co-creation? How is it supported through education in this kind of setting where the students are really at the center of all of our work? And in doing so, we're helping our students not just become passive participants or passive folks in this work. Sorry, it's late. I'm losing my words. But helping them become researchers, helping them become evaluators, and then following their lead around what is a good question, what is a great research question, what kinds of things should we be looking for in evaluation, and in doing so, we think that we're going to become a stronger program, learn more, and always be responsive to the folks that we are attempting to serve. And I'm going to leave things there and say thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much for your attention. And I would be honored to hear any questions or reflections that you may have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. Can you please tell us what time it is right now for you over there?
Oh, it's almost 11:30 at night.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for staying up so late. And we really did enjoy it. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the story he shared, and he mentioned multiple times, without some of the core values, you probably don't have a recovery college. And he also mentioned about the names. We should probably, come up with a more creative and positive name for that. Yeah, so very much like our Mindset College, the Collaborative Learning College in Canada aims to develop the co-creation, power sharing, and transformative atmosphere. Each of these single one is essential for creating a recovery college. And I believe Mr. Johnson's personal experiences and the challenges he faced while leading the Collaborative Learning College can inspire us new ways to create better courses and services, and also names. Okay, now it is the Q&A time. So you can either, scan the QR code on the side. Yeah, if you have any questions, this is the time you do it. Or you can just raise out the questions in the chat box if you're on Zoom. And I can sense that the questions might be coming through. Okay, let me just check that. Okay, we're getting some questions, word by word. This is interesting. Okay, so Mr. Johnson, we do have this question. So do you think Collaborated Learning College has gained any popularity recently?
Sorry, can you repeat that question? Has the Collaborative Learning College gained popularity?
Popularity is like getting more popular in the recent years.
Most definitely. Part of the story that I told was that we moved from 9 students to 1,000 students. And that is between 2019 and the present day. So I don't know if it's popularity or just meeting the needs of our student population. One of the things that our hospital and, the work of the hospital is amazing. The hospital is fantastic at treating people's acute mental health, substance use, addiction problems. But what it's not great at is supporting their long-term recovery. It creates the conditions under which people can attain longer-term recovery, but without something else, an inclusive program, it's very hard to support people longitudinally.
Yeah, 100% agreed. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. And we do have another question. Are the quality of the courses compatible to the so-called college level? because I mean, you have the college in it, and how to ensure quality of courses of recovery college. This is a very interesting one. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. So what we do is by creating a very low barrier program, we offer people a range of, I don't know, call it intensity of programming. So we might have drop-in sessions, at noon for half an hour. People don't need to sign up. This is not a rigorous course. It's not a college or a university level course. But on the other hand, for people who have difficulty socializing, who just simply want to make friends with people, that's a really important kind of intervention. Whereas for others, we do, for example, a peer support competency training, which is 12 plus weeks, an hour or more at each session, rigorous expectations around reading, participating, attending, reading, participating, doing projects, and the like. Which is to say that that our recovery college has a range of things. Some of them might, lead people to feel confident enough that they can go back to college or university, finish their studies, because many of their studies have been interrupted. We don't really want to compete with colleges or universities. We don't want people to get stuck in our recovery college. What we really want is for people to recognize their own power and to use the collaborative learning college opportunity as a way to think about what is next. And lastly, last comment on this is that in Canada, we have the opportunity to work with a number of colleges and universities, but specifically the colleges are very interested in allowing people to take some of our courses for credit. And they can use their collaborative learning college as a kind of safe space, and then think, wow, I've already started in on a program. And now I'm going to go all in and sign up for a particular program and really go for it. So it's about confidence building, hope, resiliency, a sense of their own ability. That's what we're after.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. I think that means a lot because, I mean, for a lot of people, you just want to welcome them, to invite them to this idea and create that safe space for them to explore furthermore. So I really love that. And we have one very last question. Actually, we've got like loads of questions. Yeah, for the time being, this is the one. Is saying our client is mainly soft, means trapped in individual concern. So how to let them be more conscious of stigma and discrimination? So I suppose this question is talking about like the clients might be in a more vulnerable state, and they really want to, outbeat the stigmatization and then get across the border of discrimination.
Yeah. Well, we could talk about this for a long time, but what I really think is when we make an active invitation to somebody to when I was talking about those drop-in courses, the half an hour drop-in courses, You know, one of the really important things about those courses is that people start to look forward to seeing one another. They might say, wow, we missed you last week. You weren't here. How are you doing? Are you going to be here next week? You know, we've got this thing planned. We're going to talk about this or that or the other. We really want you to be involved. This is inclusion. This is giving people, allowing them to embrace the sense that they are a significant person, that they are worth having people look forward to seeing them, and that their voice, and therefore that their voice is important, that their dreams are important. They might just be important to them or to some of their friends or whatever, but that doesn't take away the fact that they are important. And that in doing that kind of work, when you have this person with, they're trapped in their individual concerns, or they've, you know, got their own stigma that is holding them back. You know, people need to, in my estimation, people need to find the power in themselves in order to move past those kinds of barriers, the fact that they're kind of getting in their own way. But I think that you can say to somebody, well, you are worthy or you are able. But what is really effective is if you just involve them in your work and they discover that they are worthy and able.
I think that's very important and very meaningful. I mean, in our Chinese culture, we probably don't say it very much. So this is something that we can probably take away home today. Yes. So thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. We really do appreciate your sharing time. And we have prepared a little gift for you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, the drawing on this amazing stained steel glass here. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, I really love this. Okay, so yeah, we really hope you to give you some warmth. Yeah, I know it's very cold in Canada. So warmth and strength as you continue to serve the community. Yay.
Thank you very much. It's a real honor to join you today.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it's gonna be winging to your way. Okay, thank you very much and have a very nice sleep. Good night.
Thank you.